You see that? So what happened is, if you look at the last sentence in the first paragraph, it says, the Thor missile was used to lift warheads into near space to conduct high-altitude nuclear explosion tests. These shots were collectively called Operation Fishbowl. So what happened was the government, when they started making missiles that were powerful enough that they thought they could break through the sea of glass, they, during the Cold War, used the Cold War as a tactic for exploding high-altitude missiles to try and break through what they already knew was the dome on the earth. And I'm going to prove all this to you that the government has always known that the earth is flat. It lies to us through TV, through the media, through movies. It makes you believe the world is a spinning ball hurtling through space like a marble. But they even called it Operation Fishbowl. Like, does that not make you feel any more like you're in a flat earth with a bowl on top? They called it Operation Fishbowl, and it was to shoot missiles into space because they thought they had the power to finally break through the firmament. And actually what happens, if you read the rest of the article, these missiles would hit up at a certain altitude, and then light would shine all the way to the other hemisphere. And the reason that was is because they were hitting that glass, and the glass was reflecting it all the way across the sky. It's not some globe Earth where they're just trying... Why would they just shoot a missile in the air to see how high it can blow up? Like, are they just playing with rubber bands? Like, they're doing it for a reason, and they called it Operation Fishbowl for a reason. And also, their original name was Dominic Charma, and if you see on your packet, it goes... I describe what Dominic Charma actually means. Dominic is a Roman... it's from the late Roman Italic name Dominicus, and it means belonging to God. And then that word Charma is a fixed, massive, irregular, inequivalent shell. So they originally called it the shell belonging to God, but then they just termed it Operation Fishbowl. And that is them trying to fire at the firmament. So let's go into Genesis chapter 7. Genesis chapter 7, I'm going to help you see even more that there is a firmament above us and how God has created this earth. Genesis chapter 7, if you look in verse 11, Genesis 7, look in verse 11. It says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So, some people will just look at this figuratively. But when you realize that the earth is flat, you start to see the Bible a lot more literally. Everything starts to be more literal. Stars falling to the earth, the sun and the moon being within the firmament will make a lot more sense when we start going over how the sun and the moon circulate the earth, not the other way around. We do not circle the sun. That is false. That's a false teaching. So what's happening here is when he's opening the windows of heaven, remember we said the firmament was dividing the waters from the waters. So when he's opening the windows of heaven, what is coming down? The waters that he had divided. That's how he's able to flood the entire earth. How do you flood a ball earth that's spinning like a tennis ball? Have you ever seen a wet tennis ball and you throw it and all of the water comes off of it as it's spinning? Well, they say the reason that the water doesn't leave the earth is because of gravity. But if gravity is strong enough to hold in trillions of tons of water to the earth, but a balloon can fly, a bird can leave the earth at any point, you don't have to feel like you're being pulled down at every second, but trillions of tons of water are held to the earth. Does that make any sense? What actually is happening is it's called density. So anything that is more dense than air will sink in air. Anything that's more dense in water will sink in water. Why is gravity stopping you from... Let's say, you know how Isaac Newton, got hit on the head with an apple? That was because the apple was more dense than the air. And he got hit. If he was in water, that apple would have stopped right on the water. Why is the apple not going through the water if it's gravity pulling it down to the center? Because it's not more dense than the water. It's just a simple matter of density. They try and make gravity seem like the all-encompassing thing. And that's why they say because of gravity we can have multiple universes. Because of gravity we can have all these things happening. Why is it that there's no observable form of gravity on Earth? There is no object massive enough to have other objects come cling to it in the way that the sun does. They say that the sun is so heavy that the Earth and the Moon and all the planets circle around it. But if that is the case, why is that not observable anywhere on the planet? You cannot see that case anywhere. And if the gravity of the Moon is strong enough to bring the tides in and out, why would that ever happen if the Moon has less mass than the Earth? Shouldn't the thing that has more mass be bringing the gravity to it, not the thing that has less mass be bringing the gravity towards its way? It doesn't make any sense. Their logic doesn't make any sense. And the pictures that you see of space, the pictures that you see of all these planets and all these galaxies, NASA has admitted that they're all fake. They're CGI. And they say they have to be CGI because they want you to believe a lie. They want you to believe that these things are fake. And let me just tell you, satellites have got to be the stupidest thing. Have you ever seen a satellite? Doesn't it just look like R2-D2? Like they're messing with you. They're messing with you. They say the satellites spin around the Earth in the thermosphere. The thermosphere is 2,500 degrees Celsius according to their science. And the satellites are made of titanium. It burns at 1,600 degrees. It melts. They lie to you. They just mess with your mind. They say it's made of gold. Gold has an even lower melting point, 1,200 degrees. It's like embarrassing, some of the things that they're willing to do. And I'm going to show you some pictures from NASA of how they just completely and blatantly lie to our face. But they make you to believe that anybody that tells you differently is a crazy person.